Okay, everybody, good evening. How's everybody doing? Hope you are all doing well, having a great day. I started out the day this morning with the unboxing video on the Wahl lithium ion cordless detailer. Took you through the whole thing, unpacked it, saw it myself for the first time, although I'd seen it. Got my hands on it myself for the first time, although I touched it, but this was mine in the box, so it was for real for me. And I promised I would get back to you after I had a chance to use it. So there it is, guys. I used it all day today in the shop. Shop was a little quiet today, so we got 20 haircuts with this guy today to get a feel for what it's all about. And I am now prepared to give you my comprehensive wrap up on what I think about it. Nick, hey, good evening. How are you? Nice to see you here. Thanks for joining. So here's my total assessment on the Wahl 5-star lithium ion cordless detailer. 1 day of use today, about 20 haircuts. I like the tool. And in no particular order, let's talk about a few things. I think when you hold it in your hand, your first instinct is that it is bigger and heavier than other similar tools. That's instinct, bigger and heavier. Okay? That's what you think and what you feel. However, side by side comparison, and I compared it to the following tools. I have a Flash FX from Babyliss. I have a Caliber 38 Special. I have an Andis lithium ion Pro Li Pro cordless trimmer. I have cordless T out. All other lithium cordless trimmers. The answer is, other than the Andis, it is not heavier. It absolutely weighs approximately the same. And when you hold them in your hands and you switch them back and forth, I challenge you to tell me it's heavier. Now, I didn't put it on a scale and weigh it, but that doesn't matter. It's in your hand. How does it feel? The answer is, on its own, you think it's heavier, and it's not. Other than the Andis Li Slim Pro, whatever it's called, that one is absolutely lighter. It is not bigger. When you hold them up side by side, end to end, tip to tip, as well as from a diameter standpoint, all the tools I just mentioned. Surprisingly, you think it's small, but the Caliber 38 Special, almost identically the same size. The Flash FX from Babyliss is a little bit shorter, but it isn't it's thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top, where this one is thicker at the top and thinner at the bottom. So you're playing me 6 of one, half dozen of the other on that. Cordless T out, the T out's heavier. So weight wise, or it feels heavier. Weight wise, size wise, and weight wise, I don't think you're paying any kind of a premium. All right, while we're on hand feel, let's talk about feel and texture. The plastic is a little slippery, and the little dots on the back that you can see for grippiness, they're nice and they feel good. I feel like I'm trying to read Braille. But even with them, it's a little slippery. You'll notice I put a no slip on there. That is one of these silicone no slip bands. And people have asked questions about those. Clipperguide.com. These are the small ones, 4 in a package. The large ones are too big for this tool. What did Nick say? I just started using the Gamma Plus Absolute Hitter. Do you like the Wahls over the JRL edgers? I will say JRL edgers are smaller than this and lighter than this and not nearly as powerful. I like JRL tools, generally speaking. I think I just saw they introduced a brand new clipper today. I haven't had a chance to get my hands on that one yet. But of the JRL trimmers that I have, the 3-speed, the original 1010, and then the 1050, I think this is a better tool than the 2 JRLs. I think JRL would probably tell you that as well. I think they realize they've got some winners in the clippers, but they have a little work to do in the trimmer department. So hand feel, it is a little slippery. The no slip helps. The little grippy thing does make a good difference. Other than, as far as the contouring here and the shape of the housing, if you've played with a detailer before, I'm going to say no surprises here. It is what it is. Switch on the side works well, easy to hit, comfortable. The motion on it is good. It doesn't have a lot of range or travel. It's very easily on and off and appears to be solid. As far as the base, I mentioned this in my unboxing. It's a little wiggly in the base. I'm not real crazy about how it seats in the base. I'm probably going to put a piece of spongy single-sided tape in the base just so there's less wiggling in there when you drop it in. It's a little teetery. It's a little wiggly there. The fit there is not as positive as I would like it to be. I did mention the unique cord feature on the back side of that, and I pushed it up against the back edge of my station. I laid the cord behind some things and let it drop down. That cord feature, that's a winner, because you can either have the cord drop away or kick off to the side. The design of the feature of that cord function on the charging base is a huge, huge positive, a big plus, and a really neat little design feature. As far as the blade is concerned, once again, it's familiar territory for Wahl users, people that know and like Wahl. It's a 5-star T-wide. I like the tooth configuration on this. I like the way it feels and cuts. Now, blade adjustment. I did not adjust the blade. What do we got there? Bruno says, Wahl Detailer, best clipper. He likes it. Good deal. Nick, game right now. I wanted to try the Wahls, but I have too many trimmers now. We all have too many tools. To your point, Babyliss, that FX, or I'm sorry, the gold with the cutout on it. Yeah, I think they're dominating a lot of conversation right now. There's a lot of enthusiasm for that trimmer. People are really geeked over it. I myself have not had a chance to cut with it yet. I'm sure I'll get one. I'm sure at some point I will have a chance to play with it. But again, 5-star T-wide, if you know the blade, you're familiar with the blade. I don't think there's any surprises there in terms of what it is and what it does. It is adjustable, but I will acknowledge I don't adjust them. The factory setting on this one as it came out of the box, for me, is more than crispy enough for the type of client I serve and the type of work that I do. As I said, 20 haircuts with this today. I didn't feel the need to get it tighter or crispier. There is no hair on the back of my hand from playing with it a little bit. You know how that goes. But for the work we do in our shop, and keep in mind, we are Chicago, suburban, very general market shop. I think of the 20 I cut today, a little bit of Asian, a little African American, a little South Asian, a lot of Caucasian. Got a chance to see quite a bit of hair variety, which is typical for our shop. Call it a very typical day in that regard. So that's my take on all of that. So overall and in general, good little tool, performance consistent with expectations. I think the next thing to do is get a month under its belt and maybe check in with you folks on sort of a short-term test and then maybe a long-term test 6 months from now to let you know how it is continuing to perform. At that point, the question, at 6 months, the question is it still on my station top, and am I still using it on a regular basis, or has it, have I gone back to something else or moved on to something different? A couple other comments. What do we got? How does the trim hair above a number 3 around the edge? The answer is I don't use a tool like this with a guard on it. Never have, never really would. If I were putting a guard on for sideburns or facial hair or something like that, I would have a full-size trimmer in my hand. Based on tooth configuration, tooth width, and tooth depth, I was very, very good with trimmer over comb, tight tapering, edge tapering, lining, and detailing. Much of that is below a number 3, if I'm understanding your question. And then as I move out away from the head, obviously, I may be getting out to 3/8 of an inch. But at that point, clipper over comb is clipper over comb, or trimmer over comb is trimmer over comb at any length. But you're not going to eat up a lot of hair in that regard. I don't want to fall behind on comments here. Too many length variations, does it? How does it trim hair? Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, Bruno checking in. Okay, nice to see where you're from. That's good. I'm talking about, let's say, rounding a tapered, longer haircut. Yeah, if you're talking about coming in freehand trimmer and comb to tidy up around edges that may not necessarily be skinned up with a blade, a lot of what I call a banker's cut, and we do a great deal of this that is greater than clipper length. It's scissor and fingers, and then we come in and do bottom edge tapering. My initial bottom edge tapering I always do with a full-size clipper tool. Then I go in and polish and detail with a trimmer. But literally, I didn't use anything else today. Everything I did with this. I cleaned ears with this. I cleaned around ears with this. I did eyebrows and nose hair with this. I front lined tight haircuts with this. I clipper over comb details and perimeters with this. Everything got done with this today, very deliberately. Nothing else got picked up off my countertop because I wanted to see how this guy could hold his own in the type of usage that I expose a tool like this to every day. Does it have more power than a Retro T-Cut? I love that it's Li. I can't speak specifically against the Retro T because it's not something I've used since they reintroduced it back in the old days when it wasn't retro, when it was just the thing, when it was like a Sterling 6, I think it was, or the regular trimmer from Wahl. I used them all day long. Back in those days, they were dog as far as power, but so was everything else cordless. So it's not a fair comparison. Says, may actually pack more power. It's the body that's wrong with the retros. Yeah, if I know what you're referring to there, Nick, the retro T-Cut, when you look at it, because of the housing style, it scoops up and it's thick right in through this area here. And instead of having the longer cutaway that you see on the detailer, the cutaway is shorter, so it gets thicker faster. So you've got a lot of what we'll call upper head body bulk right in the area about where my fingertip is. Unless you cut your teeth, no pun intended, unless you were born and raised with a retro T-Cut in your hand, by today's standards for housing design, that's going to feel weird. And I think that's why it is a retro T-Cut in its name. The housing plastic is not stable enough for its own good. That's a separate issue, Nick. What Nick's talking about there is the material from which the housing is made is a softer composition. Many of you may be aware. Some of the older tools like an Andis T outliner or an Andis styliner or an Andis T edger, those are manufactured from a Bakelite material that is much more rigid than the plastics that they mold housings out of for some other tools. That's why I like the bottom housing on a classic Wahl designer. Again, the T outliners, things like that. Those mag clippers are very, very dependent on structural rigidity in the body of the tool because the motors are mounted to those lower housings, and the torsional flex, the movement, the vibration and everything is a function of the rigidity of the plastic. So when you build something like that in a softer housing, there's a lot more internal, wiggle, if you will. There's a lot more internal movement that compromises power. Power is lost to internal absorption, if you will, I guess is a good way to put it. Slimline Pro, if so, how about debunking on 0.25 hair for you? It's always hit or miss for me. I've burned through 5 of them. Tell me more about what you're talking about, Nick, there. I've got a an Andis Slimline Pro Li on my station top. I don't use it as often as, for instance, the Flash FX from Babyliss or the 38 Special, primarily because of the tooth configuration. The Slimline Li Pro's got a much more aggressive back blade, a much deeper, wider tooth on it. So as a result, without bump gapping, again, remember, I'm the guy that's probably not bump gapping the blade. Without bump gapping the blade, I'm not seeing the crispiness from that tool that somebody would get from another tool or from that tool with the blade bumped. So as a result, it's not a favorite of mine in that regard. Now, what are you talking about on the 0.25 hair for in terms of debunking? Debulking, okay? Now, obviously, we're adjusting typos here. Because if I'm getting you, and it's a one-sided conversation I'm trying to figure out here. Because the tooth pattern is wider and deeper, you've got a greater feed rate. Wider, deeper teeth will allow more hair feed and flow. Of all of the trimmers that I've referenced tonight, of every single tool that I've talked about tonight, that Andis Slimline Li Pro has the widest and deepest teeth. It's got the most aggressive tooth pattern. Therefore, of all of these tools, it's the best tool for clipper or trimmer, as it were, over comb, tapering, and bulk removing. If you're going to go over comb, I would say this Retro T 5-star blade has more of a medium tooth. For me and for what I do every day, a classic T-out blade is almost too fine because I do like to line, clean, flip it over, and do a little overcomb. You would think that would make the Li Pro a good choice for me, but it's not my tool for whatever reason. I'm more inclined. I really like I said, I like the 38 Special. I like the Flash FX, and I'm finding so far that I'm liking this guy here of the things I have on my station top. So that's a bit of a wrap on it. Nick, thank you for your participation. Everybody else, Chris, Poetic Cuts, Bruno, a whole bunch of people jumped on. Apparently, there's a message here about doing these things in the evening as opposed to doing these things during the day when everybody's either sleeping or working. But thanks for tuning in. Like the video, comment on the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. If there's something you want to talk about specifically, shoot me a message on any social platform, and we'll schedule a little chit chat on that subject. Happy to do it. Barber Indicut, you're awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that comment there as well. Happy to help. Happy to answer questions. How can I help you? That's kind of my standard thing these days. Trying to help people make more money, build and grow their business. Get a copy of $100,000 Haircut of the book. Get yourself a zoot comb. We've got all kinds of resources out there to help people build their business. Y'all have a great night, and we'll talk to you again. Take care. Bye-bye.